We are here with the Body Knockout Bootcamp team. Today, a couple of our participants who just finished the course over the last 4 weeks are joining us to share their live, unscripted testimonial. I'm going to give them a few questions and ask them to respond. So let's get right into it. First thing we need to do is meet the contestants here who were in the course and find out a little bit more about them. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your fitness background before you joined into the Body Knockout Bootcamp. Let's go with Mason first.
I'm 21 years old, and I do softball throughout the summer. So my main focus was to get into better shape, to go towards the entire season, because it starts in May and doesn't end until August or September. So that's a long journey and a couple months there. One of the main reasons I went into this was the live classes and to have someone to make sure that I was doing it properly, to show me how I'm supposed to be doing it. And it was also the food and the calories and how to calculate my BMR and what I should be eating in a day, macros wise, protein wise, fat, carbs, all that stuff. So, yeah,
Nice.
that was it for me.
Nice. That's good. Thank you, Mason. So, baseball season, we've got an athlete who's training year round, and this is kind of getting ready for baseball season. And nutrition was a major focus for you coming in. So, trying to learn to make sure you're doing everything right and getting some good nutritional feedback. And excellent.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your fitness background before joining the Body Knockout. This will be Pam.
Hi. Okay, so I've been training with Lawrence for a very long time. We're actually in our 6th year together, and I've done everything from endurance programs and power programs and cardio stuff, and well, yeah. So now, when Lawrence said he was going to introduce a new boot camp, we used to do boot camp a lot several years ago, and I always love the boot camps because you have the group energy vibe and you meet new people. And so he decided to do another boot camp, but he added the boxing side to that. And I've always wanted to do boxing. So that's one of the main reasons why I decided to take this boot camp challenge. The other reason was the end of December, I got bronchitis, and I'm still struggling with it. So my breathing has been suffering through the last several months. And so the goal for the boot camp for me was to work on my lung capacity again and bring it back to where it was before I got sick. And the boxing helped a lot because there's so much movement and so much heart rate training. And yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. There again. So anyone who's watching this can kind of relate, and say, okay, well, maybe they've had respiratory issue or wanting to improve their cardiovascular component and do it right, not just hours of mindless treadmill work to try and get there,
Yeah.
I know Mason had mentioned that was kind of
Yeah.
his approach before starting as well. Both of you touched on what made you decide to start for sure. What was the biggest challenge you were facing before you started the camp? Now, Pam, you just said it was the VO2 thing, the breathing. Mason, was there a specific challenge? Was it straight up the nutrition? Was it more about weight loss? What was your biggest challenge before you started?
Yeah, like I was working out like 3, 4 days in a week. I felt like I was eating good. Like I still to this day have not had like fast food or anything like that. And I felt like I was just in a plateau. I wasn't going anywhere, like the scale, like nothing. And yeah, like I knew from doing the boot camps beforehand that it did help me a lot. I lost a bit of weight before, and then coming back into here, I was like, oh, I really want to do that. And then seeing the boxing as well, I really wanted to do that again. So yeah,
Nice.
that was it for me.
Cool. Right on. And that's part of it too, is the boxing. I think that was a novel experience for everybody because nobody came in as a professional boxer saying, I'm going to up my boxing game and work on that. But we did treat it like a boxing training camp. It was
Mhm.
something new. So we'll ask a little bit about that, which dives into the next question. So, as far as the actual program itself, we'll start with you again, Mason, just to keep the order here.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts after the first session? Like just after think back to your very first hour in the course, and was it what you expected?
No, it was not what I expected. I honestly thought it was like you were gonna be doing like all the cardio for boxing. I thought it was just going to be like straight up like running drills and like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sort of stuff. But then you added in like weightlifting, and then in between the 60 seconds, then you did boxing. It was kind of nice because it was almost like two workouts in one. It was you had your actual weightlifting, boxing, and then you're like, okay, here's 2 minutes, and you have do like a 1, 2, 4 or like different combinations. It was a lot of fun. Like Pam said, like with the footwork and all that, like it definitely gets your heart rate going a lot. So yeah, I like it was a lot of fun. Two workouts in one for sure.
Yeah, I like that. 2 for 1 in the workout.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so, Pam, what was your thought after the first session, and was it what you expected we were going to do?
I would agree with Mason. I knew kind of what was going to happen going in because I had looked at the app ahead of time because I like to know what I'm getting myself into. So I kind of peeked at it the day of and was like, okay, this is cool with boxing at the end of the session. That's going to be like really brutal. We're already exhausted, and then he's going to throw in the 15 minutes of boxing at the end. I was like, okay, I can do this. But then it was like we do a movement, and you're like, hey, 2-minute boxing round. I'm like, what? Like, but it was awesome. The structure was awesome. Breaking it up, it made it feel less challenging, I find. Although my feet were not happy, like Mason was saying. So much footwork. The next day, my feet were so sore just from all the dancing around and like my calves. Yeah. So yeah, I kind of knew what to expect going in, but it still surprised me.
Yeah.
In a good way. It still surprised me in a good way.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you said it kind of made it easier by breaking it up. And so people who think boot camps are supposed to be like, super hard and, to the death, like sweat, the more you sweat, the more you're out of breath, the better you did. You were just saying it actually made it easier, which makes it sound like it was less effective. But in your case, you're saying it was actually more effective because you were able to get more out of both sets, is from what
Yeah,
I think you're saying.
yeah, exactly. Because it was a strength component followed by the cardio component. It wasn't just strength, 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 and then you finish with cardio, which most people would, some people do the opposite where they kill themselves in the cardio first and then they finish with their strength and then they have nothing for strength. Or they kill themselves in the strength and then they have nothing for their cardio. But you break it up. And it made it more fun also because you were breaking it up. It wasn't like, oh, my shoulders, I can't do anymore. Well, now you're going to be doing something else to give your shoulders a break.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I mean by easier. It wasn't just pounding and pounding and pounding for the whole,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, you were able to give 100% to the modality we were using, which is great.
Yeah,
For listeners out there, when it's done right, it's done effective and you can get massive
exactly.
results. Let's
Yeah.
keep hearing from you guys. Mason, what was the toughest part for you and how did you push through that part?
Ooh, I've never had like great shoulder flexibility, like especially with baseball. Before like starting this, I could probably throw a ball like hard or fast like 10 times, and then my shoulder starts to hurt, starts to ache. Um, and then once we started doing like the dislocates and stuff like that with like the broomstick at the beginning,
Mhm.
one of the ones that I remember that was tough for me was going on the bench, step up with it above my head. That one was a bit tough for me, but I knew that it was only 60 seconds and I can work through a minute. So I got that done. And I think that was like, I think the first week or second week. So I knew that this is only the beginning, anyways. And it's supposed to be tough because if it wasn't tough, then everyone would do it. Right. So, so
Great
yeah, that
point.
was it for me. I've never had great shoulders. Um, yeah, just like the health and the strength of it. So yeah, I feel like it helped me and kind of just determining myself to do it.
Nice. That's good. And again, for a baseball player who needs good shoulder health for your
Yeah,
sport, this was definitely something that was, part of the reason you needed to join this and do it was to
yeah,
improve that ability to throw more than 10 times in a game and be able to still be there at the end.
yeah.
MVP coming our way. So, same question to you, Pam. What was the toughest part for you and how did you overcome that? How'd you push through it?
See, it's a good thing Mason went first because I never would have thought of the dislocates. I also have shoulder issue, but it's mostly my right side. So I'm still struggling with the shoulder dislocates. I still have to hold the very end of the broom because I can't. My elbows want to bend. But that's a minor struggle with the program. I found the real struggle for me was actually the push-ups, and I
Okay.
love doing push-ups, and I'm good at push-ups. You know the reason why it was a struggle for me, Lawrence, because there's push-ups in my current program. I took part in the push-up challenge, the 2,000 push-ups for February, and then there was push-ups in the boot camp. So
Oh,
every other day there was push-ups in the boot camp, but I was doing push-ups every day because of the challenge I was doing. So that would be the real I think if I hadn't taken part in the challenge, the push-up challenge for mental health, it wouldn't have felt so difficult because then it would have just been in my program and in the boot camp. But
Yeah, right.
it was definitely all the push-ups that I did over the month.
There you
yeah.
go. And so
Okay.
the second part of that question is, how did you overcome or push through that particular obstacle?
Am I answering first?
Yeah, how did we overcome that fact that you were doing so many push-ups? What was the answer and solution to that?
Towards the end of the program, you told me to, if I didn't want to do the push-ups, to choose a different method, like chest press or something that wasn't a full-on push-up, and that helped a lot.
Yeah, focus on a different signal, different modality.
Different muscles, but different. Yeah.
Awesome.
Just to add on to that, like for just like the viewers or listeners, like about that, like if you can't do a push-up, like don't get discouraged on that. I'm a bigger, heavier set guy, and I can do push-ups either from my knees or on the wall, or even like the chest press, like she was saying. There's always like different modifications, and like Lawrence will easily tell you, like during while he's doing it, he'll demonstrate like 2 or 3 different ones, and that's what really helped for me, because some of them I'm like, okay, Pam is a lot smaller than I am, and she can do it no problem. And then you look at me, and I'm like, no shot. Like, there's no way I'm doing that. So then he's like, okay, if you can't do that, then move on to this, which really helped me as well. So yeah. So anyways.
Excellent. Yeah. We refer to those usually as like a regression or a modification, right? So it's for everybody. That way all levels can succeed. But yeah, I'm glad, because that was really giving you the opportunity to succeed and not feel like you're left out, right? Saying like, I can't do that. Now what? So that's important. I'm glad you mentioned that, Mason. Thanks for bringing that up as well. Which is really good, because the viewers and people who are watching this and wondering, like, should I get into something like this? That's part of what they get worried about, is what they can't do, right? Everybody worries about what they think they can't do, but it's like there's so much that you can do. You just get focused on the wrong thing, and we'll find what you can do for sure. The next question I'm going to go is basically going into what changes did you start noticing first? Was it physical, mental, or both? What were your findings, Mason?
Definitely physical. At the beginning, I am one to chart everything that I do. For workout wise, like we did metabolic squats. So my first week, like the first session, I did 21, and then after I think there'd be 7 more classes, our very last one, I got to 42. So I literally doubled what I was able to do in the first week. I think it was in the second week, I had an overnight baseball tournament, and I was good to go the entire time. Like my energy levels were fine. And I think it was because I was eating better, like protein wise. I was able to like recover better. The next day I was a bit sore, but I also played 5 games between like 6 hours. So I mean, you kind of get it, but yeah, it was more like physical. Mentally, it did help a little bit, because I knew that the scale is just one way to measure on how you're doing. Other than that, it's like based on appearance, or actually measuring like each individual muscle. I started doing that a little bit, and I can see that it's going down, or my biceps are going up, and like my muscle rate is going up, but my fat is going down, and it's showing on the scale now too. So.
Excellent. Nice. And so you already had lost some weight coming into the program. I think we talked about that before.
Yeah.
Because you've had a long trajectory of weight loss. What's it been for you so far before camp and then after camp?
So at the beginning of the year, I wanted to change everything like that. So I can't remember exactly, but I just looked at it before I hopped on here. In the last 53 days, I've lost 7 pounds.
Okay.
So I can definitely see it in like on the app. It shows like the muscle rate and all that. That's all gone up. Protein, water weight, and my visceral fat. And I'm gonna botch the name of the other one. Starts with an S.
Subcutaneous.
Yeah, sure. That one. That one's gone down as well. So I mean, like my fat percentage has went down. The weight has gone down a little bit, but I can just tell that I'm stronger that way.
And you had already lost like 70 pounds or something beforehand,
Yeah,
right?
beforehand, yeah, I was when we did the boot camps before, I think it was like 2 years ago, yeah, I think I lost like, yeah, 65 pounds.
Yeah.
I was like near 330s, I think, and I went down I think my minimum was like 265, 270.
hmm
So, yeah, I'm trying to get back to that now,
That's
but it's
great.
gonna take time.
And also learning about nutrition for the first time because
Yeah,
you really did all that with the weight loss
yeah,
minus the nutritional knowledge.
I know nothing. Yeah.
Right? So now you know how to do it even smarter than just losing
Yeah,
everything, which is great. I'm glad you mentioned the tape measures and the scale analysis
yeah,
that goes beyond just body weight because that's important for people who are listening to know. We're not just here to say, who lost 5 pounds, who lost 7 pounds. We're
yeah,
here to transform. And in a training camp like this, you may not transform any weight on the scale at all, yet you
mhm.
transform so much internally, whether it's cardiovascular condition, mental health, your performance, like as your muscular strength. So let's bring it to Pam and say, what changes did you notice at first? And was it physical, mental, or both for you, Pam?
That, for me, that's a tough question because I mean, I was already pretty strong going in, and I've been working out for several years now.
Mhm.
So I would say to start, it was probably physical because of the challenges I was facing with my lungs,
Mhm.
and it helped a lot. I find like being able, like getting my breathing back under control made a huge difference towards the end of the program. But the one thing that I did notice the most as far as the physical side is my flexibility. Like my flexibility changed quite a bit in this program, and just the stretching beforehand and the stretching after, which is something I've always been guilty of not doing. So this program, I was making a point of doing it, and I'm still making a point of doing it at the end and the beginning of my program.
Mhm.
So like the 90-90 stretch, I can actually put my head on the floor.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
nice.
I last year I couldn't do that because I've never been flexible like that. So that's the physical benefit that I noticed almost right away within the first couple, the
Love it.
first week and a half maybe. Yeah.
Love it. That's really good because again, there's a part of the program where we focus on flexibility. We warm up properly. When we're taking athletes, for anyone who's watching this and listening right now, it's important to know that we turned this into a training camp, boot camp. So you're still getting all the benefits of the health and fitness stuff and the nutrition, but we also warmed up properly to make sure each of our athletes going in here was warmed and primed up, ready to go. And then at the end of the workout, we also stretched and foam roll to get that myofascial release. So we're helping you with areas that go outside beyond the workout, which Pam was saying. Most people focus on the workout and they don't pay attention to the warm up and what we call warm down, which is proper, to get the body there. So that's really important. And then because there's such a normal structure to most people's training, my next question is, how did this program compare to any other workout or training that you've done before? So Mason, if you've done camps and things before, what was different about this one?
Definitely, like Pam said, the flexibility. Doing like the warm ups and stuff like that, like the 90-90s and stuff. I've never done stretches like that, and to me, it was like I could barely get my head like to my knee in that, and now like on my forehead's to my knee. Like I can
Mhm.
feel like the flexibility there. The difference between like the other one and this one is definitely the boxing. I feel like my heart rate definitely fluctuates a lot more. Um, because I'm a bigger guy, it also takes a little bit more to be in the fat burn where it'd be in someone else's like VO2
For heart
levels,
rate
right?
zone?
Yeah. So with the boxing, I feel like that definitely was different, but in a good way. Like, it made it so much more fun and appealing to me because I went into it, I'm like, "Okay, like, let's get the hour done, like, see whatever," and then after the first one, I was like, "Oh, I'm hooked, like, can we do another one tomorrow?" Like, I was like, "Let's do this." I was in.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
I remember getting the message from you too, going, I'm stoked. I love this. Like,
Yeah.
can't wait for the next one. It was like, is it 2 days away? Damn.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's great. Now, Pam, you've done a lot of workouts, most of which have been with me, but even before that and everything. Consider all the workouts you've ever done. What was it about this program that was different and in comparison to any of those other programs, which made it unique for you or novel?
Okay, well, I agree with the boxing. The boxing was huge. Like, we've done boxing together, and it was very, very brief, you and I. And I fell in love with it. Even I think we did it for like a month, maybe,
Hmm.
a couple of sessions in the month. So the boxing was a definite highlight. But the one thing that I found that was um, really awesome about this boot camp was it was structured, but we didn't know what to expect because you changed it every single time. Like, the programs that we're doing together are highly, highly structured, and I always know what to anticipate. I always know what's coming. But this program, it was like, okay, what is he doing this time? What is he doing this time? Because you changed it all the time, and it kept it fresh. It kept it exciting, yeah. And it was always something different. We got to experience different movements that I've been doing this for a long time, and there were movements that you threw in there that I had never done before.
Hmm.
So it was always exciting because we didn't know what to expect, I
I
think.
love it. So
Yeah.
there's an exciting novelty there, almost like playing a game, a little bit of unexpected
That's right.
and
Yeah.
the unknown, right? A little bit of uncertainty. That's
Yeah.
good. Anything to add to that, Mason, off that?
Yeah, like, it was, I would always look like what I said before, like, I jot down, like, what I do. So, like, the first week, I'm like, "Okay, like, I'll do this, and we'll have these workouts," and then next week, he's like, "Oh, maybe he'll, like, see if I can do it better," and then we didn't go back to them at all. I'm like, "What's going on?" I was like, "I
Yeah.
thought I was supposed to do that and show you I'm better at that." The only time I think we might have done, like, 1 or 2, and that was at the very last one, but that one was to tuck us out for the fight at the end.
Yeah.
But but other than that, yeah, it was really unpredictable, but at the same time, like, I don't know a lot of the names of, like, certain workouts of stuff, so it was for me when you would announce it, and then I'm like, "Okay, wait, have we done this one before?" So I'd watch, like, you demonstrate, and then I'm like, "Okay, no, this is completely new, I'm not wrong here." So, yeah, no, it was great.
That's awesome. I love it. And that variety does keep it fresh and keeps it fun.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
mixing it up, you know? And then speaking of mixing it up, we said at the graduation there was that chance to all the way through you guys were working on your boxing,
Yeah.
practicing just techniques and combos and things that were basic entry level punch, like the formula for basic fundamentals. But none of you, like I said, came in professional boxing or even competing or anything like that. So your take on it was like, I'm just doing this for the cardio type thing, right? Like, just no matter what I throw, I can't do it wrong because I'm just doing it for the cardio purposes. So we took the pressure off you for having to be a good boxer. So anyone who's watching this and thinks you've got to kind of know boxing coming in, you don't, right? And you guys came in just kind of like, okay, I'm just going to follow along and do what I have to do. But by the end of 4 weeks, and again, this is to show just the trajectory of just 4 weeks. You guys got pretty damn good at throwing these
Yeah.
punch combinations. And then what did we do at the end? We put you into sparring situation virtually,
Yeah.
which was totally a different thing than you've probably ever done, even despite all the things we've talked about so far. So I'm going to ask you this. What was the one thing you accomplished in these 4 weeks that you're most proud of? And if you could reflect on your sparring, obviously, as part of that. So Mason, we'll start with you. What's the one thing that really stood out to you that you're most proud of in your accomplishments over the 4 weeks?
Definitely eating better and eating right now that I know, like, the nutrition part is, like, a small part of this, but to me, it was, like, what I was grasping on. So it's, like, to know how much protein my body needs to fuel, like, you always say, like, the gas tank.
Mhm.
Like, my gas tank's a lot bigger than Pam's would be, so I need more food than Pam would,
Mhm.
sort of thing like that. With the sparring, that was a lot of fun, and I don't think you meant to do this, but you got me and Pam in the same room, and we were sparring partners the whole time.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. So,
Yeah.
we went, like, the whole, what was it, 5 rounds in the last one? That was good. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a lot of fun that way.
That
Yeah.
that was cool. And so that's kind of what I wanted to reflect on, just in the fact that yes, the sparring was a good time. It was really a fun thing to do. But did you feel like you were proud of how far you came with that aspect, considering your boxing skills maybe on day one, week one, and then looking at the fact that you were competing against Pam virtually
Yeah.
on week 5 or week 4? Did you find you were pretty proud of the progress you made in the boxing element, despite it being like a side thing in the workout?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The first week, I felt like I was, like, kinda tired and sluggish after, but then I was able to do, like, the 5 rounds, and I didn't feel, like, as tired. I felt like I kinda knew what I was doing, and even, like, we would learn, like, the 1-1-2 or, like, different combinations, like the dodging and weaving, stuff like that, and I would coordinate it into that without even thinking about it. So before when you'd say, "Okay, do 1-1-2," I'd go 1-1-2,
Yeah.
but before that, I was just doing, like, different combos that we did before,
Mhm.
or I'd be making up different combos that I didn't know before, like, going into this program.
Right. So that's awesome. So you're able to put those
Yeah.
combos into effect real time and
Yeah.
enjoy them as a workout, but also as a competitive thing. I think that's so cool. I watched the
Yeah.
progress for myself as a coach and saw you guys develop in just 4 weeks and thought, God, what if they had 4 more weeks? How good will they
Yeah.
be? They're just getting
Yeah.
better and better. It's so awesome. And we were doing it with no pressure. Like no one was walking around and criticizing your technique. We just let you be you and add your own flair to it. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go over to Pam and say the same thing. Pam, what was the one thing you accomplished in the 4 weeks that you were most proud of? And then reflect on your boxing part too.
Well, it would be the boxing
Okay.
because I'm so aside from being not very flexible, I'm also very uncoordinated. So doing the combos, you would call out combos and I would get so confused and I would be I'm just going to swing. I'm just going to swing. It doesn't matter what like, but towards the end, you'd say 1, 4, 6, whatever. And I get them like 90% of the time,
Hmm.
you know? And, and the gain I think from that too is also adding that boxing element helped with the cardio side. Like I was saying, my ankles and my calves were so sore like the first week, but the second week, third week, it was like just fly.
Hmm.
And then there's no pain anymore except for the shoulders. The non-dominant shoulder struggled to the end, right? Because it's not used to moving so much. But and then we did the sparring and the challenge there I thought was to not laugh. How do
Oh,
you
yeah.
focus on throwing punches with somebody you're never going to hit and stay focused enough? At one point I had to stop. I dropped my gloves and I was laughing so hard and when I looked up, he was giving them to me. I was like, dude, like give me a break. I'm not having a laugh
No
attack here.
mercy.
Totally taking advantage, right? Like no mercy. There was
No
no mercy.
mercy.
It was so fun. It was so much fun. Yeah.
I love that. It was very cool. And again, anyone who's listening to this right now, you got to see it for yourself, right? Like
Yeah.
it's one of those things where you just kind of imagine it as like a video game where you're virtual screen with some computer opponent, except in here you've got a real life person who's doing it with you on their screen, and just super cool. A lot of fun that way. And again, that question was all about what you accomplished in the 4 weeks that you were most proud of. And for Pam, yours was being proud of how far you came with the boxing because it was
Oh
such a
yeah.
novel experience. And also, I think in the first week or two, you had messaged me saying you lost about a half a pound, which we hadn't really had any fluctuations in your weight in a long time. So just adding that boxing and that little extra to your programming that you're normally doing, you were able to break a plateau using that formula and just having fun doing it, like a gamified
Yeah.
little extra, right? Instead of
Yeah.
going for an hour of cardio a day, you were getting an hour of something totally fun and different. And sometimes that's what's needed to break a plateau, a little bit novel. So that's good. Okay, so how has the program impacted your daily life now outside of training? So you've had 4 weeks in the camp. You've seen all those benefits we've talked about. And so, Mason, for you, obviously, baseball is going to be a place you'll get to test everything.
Yeah.
You did get to play in a little tournament there. Tell us a little bit about what you saw. How was the program impacting the outside of boot camp life?
Yeah, like I felt like I was not really like faster in a sense, but like more flexible. Like I said with my shoulder, I was able to throw like I think I did like 2 or 3 games. But before like last season, I'd throw one game and I'm like, I'm done. Like this is it for me. I'm done for the night.
Hmm.
And I was able to do like 2.5 games, and then I was finally out of it. But for me, it was like I keep going back to like the nutrition stuff.
Yeah.
Like outside of the workouts and whatever, I always see stuff as like, oh, that's this many like calories, or this would be this much percentage of my calories in a day. Like I look at stuff like that now. So it's like even if like my peers at work get fast food or something like that, and they're like, "Oh, do you want anything?" I'm like, "Nope, I'm good." And then I go online and I show them, I'm like, "This is what you're putting into your body." Like this is like, and it's right there, like on McDonald's or Tim Hortons, like you guys
Hmm.
said at the very beginning.
Yeah.
It's right there for public knowledge,
Hmm.
but it's all the stuff that I think about now, like what I'm putting into my body, how much protein I need, how much like healthy fats that I need, and it's everything I'm consuming, right?
That's great.
Yeah,
So I find what I'm hearing you say is that you learn so much about the nutrition that that's carried over into your normal life, even
absolutely.
more than the training has, in the physical aspect. And so a lot of people who listen to that would say it sounds like you like it's almost that could be a negative thing, like it could be obsessive, going like now you're watching everything you eat,
No,
counting all your calories, you're stressing about how much is in that. Oh, I can't have that. I can't have that.
no.
But it sounds like your take on it is actually empowerment. It sounds like you're
Yeah,
proud to know what's in there, what quality it offers you, and why you would not choose it versus, uh, choosing it regularly. So just reflect real quick there, Mason. Like when you're talking about colleagues and coworkers wanting to go to
yeah.
those places, is it stressful to you to say no, I can't have that, or is it empowering? Am I right?
Yeah, no, like it's empowering to me, like to because I used to do like takeout like probably once or twice a week, maybe even 3 times. And to now like say like, oh, I haven't had it, like it feels good to me to know that I'm eating a lot better, eating cleaner. Um, it's like I mean, I still have gone out, like, with, like, friends or whatever, and I look and I, like, pick the healthier choices
Hmm.
instead of, like, the big burgers with a bunch of, like, whatever and the added on stuff.
Hmm.
Like, instead of that, like, it's just as good, it'll fill me up, and it's something that I'll still enjoy.
Yeah.
It's not stressful at all. It's more, like, empowering to know that I'm doing this for me, I'm doing it for to better myself, because if I know that if I were to go and have something like that, I'd feel like
Uh-oh.
crap the next day. So,
It was just a long pause for the dramatic
oh,
effect.
anyway.
I think the internet glitched there for a second. It was like you'd feel like crap the next day. It was kind of cool. Good timing by the internet
Yeah,
there. That's awesome. But yeah, thank you
yeah,
for sharing that because that really puts it in perspective, I think, for people listening who
yeah,
think that, that much knowledge about nutrition could lead to an obsessive, approach to it, and then it'd be stressful about what you can't have. Also, taking it over to Pam here. Pam, you've been doing this for a long time now. We have been coaching. You've transformed your body. You lost like 30 pounds in your journey or so. And then we built back muscle mass. And I mean, your body looks and feels and performs better than it ever has. We've kind of joked about that. You're at an older age than you were when you started, as everybody would be, but you're in the best shape of your life now. Even looking back at times where you might have been lighter in weight, but nowhere near the health and conditioning. We've talked about that. So just to reflect on that and say the same thing, how has this program impacted your life outside of training? And then also reflect for us on the nutrition relationship, because I know you went through a nutrition relationship change in our journey. And just like Mason was talking about the empowerment of it versus the detriment of it, can you reflect on all that for us?
Oh, for sure. My nutrition journey would be probably the complete opposite of most people in the fact that I wasn't getting enough food. I would eat maybe 800 calories a day. So I was, and I was gaining weight. So I was under eating and still going to the gym and busting my ass off, but not getting the results I wanted because I wasn't feeding I wasn't putting enough fuel in my car to make my car run, as to use your analogy, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's for me, the nutrition now it's I almost don't think about it because it's just part of my daily routine that I just know.
Mhm.
I still track everything just because I'm obsessive compulsive about certain things. Like Mason was saying, he needs to write notes. I'm the exact same way. I'm a note taker. I want to make sure I have everything written down. So I'm still using my Fitness Pal. I still track every day. I'm still hitting all my, proteins and my macros and whatnot. But I don't stress about it anymore. And because I know that I'm hitting my numbers, I'm not starving myself, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to just put it in perspective for a listener, you mentioned you were at 800 calories, back then
Maybe.
of
I
food.
didn't, yeah, I didn't eat breakfast. I didn't eat lunch. I'd have dinner, and it wouldn't be a massive dinner. It would
Yeah.
just be,
Yeah.
what I'm eating now for dinner. And
Yeah.
that was all I was eating in a day, which is not enough
Yeah.
for what I was putting my body through in the gym.
Right. Right. And so to put that in perspective now, as you feel healthy, strong, confident, and in the best shape, what type of calories do you bring in now in comparison to 800?
I'm hitting 1,800 right now.
So you've added about 1,000 calories of energy. So
Yeah.
eating
Yeah.
more has performed better for you.
Yeah, but now that this boot camp is over, actually, because we did a slight cut for the boot camp, but now that I'm entering in this power phase, I'm in the second phase of the power phase. I know that I need to increase my calories.
Mm.
So the next call you and I have, we will need to discuss that.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. And to just give, a foreshadow and a forecast, we've been as high as about 2,300 calories, I think, in your programming before. So to give people
And
an idea.
the other nice thing that to segue into the question, or out of the question and back into the question, I don't fear that anymore.
Mm.
I used to hesitate. You'd say, "Oh, you need to bring your calories up to," I was getting 1,500 when we started. Let's go to 1,700. I'm like, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I can't eat that much. I can't eat that much.
Mm.
But now it's like, yeah, let's do it.
You can't
Because I
imagine
know
eating less.
yeah, I
Exactly.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like, yeah, 2,300. I can do that. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so, and again, we're talking about calories because they're energy and people don't really understand it until they kind of understand the relationship between it. And Mason was kind of talking about it earlier. So for anyone who's listening, and you were talking about Mason, where he was talking about the size of the vehicle, the amount of energy it takes to run the vehicle. These are some analogies we use to just help it make sense. But so Pam's talking about the 1,800 calories she kind of has on a daily basis, body size wise. And that's way better for her health and her longevity than the 800 calories was. And then to put it in perspective, Mason, who said he was a bigger vehicle, what were you eating during this camp, Mason, that kind of put in perspective for because you did see some weight loss as well and
Yeah.
great performance. About what type of calorie range were you working with over the 4 weeks?
I think I started, oh man, now I'm blanking. 2694 was, I think, what I'm starting at, like the calories at the 4 weeks. And right now I actually just recalculated because I went down 2.3 pounds since last week.
Mm-hmm.
I recalculated, I'm at 2551.
Excellent. Good
Yeah.
job. So not only the knowledge that you've acquired, you lost 2.5 pounds in the last week, you
Yeah.
recalculate, you get a new calorie. And again, it's not to be obsessive about it and
No.
say, all my life is revolving around all this, the numbers, the data. It's just because you are educated in it and you're using it to your advantage to make sure you're moving forward. I love that for you. You know what I mean? If it doesn't become stressful and it becomes empowering, that's what we want our people to hear, for
Yeah.
people who sit on the fence about trying to learn things or, it's too much stress, too much time. It's like there's such a big investment in your future here. And in just 4 weeks, you guys were able to really turn things around. What did you learn about yourself in this process that you might not have known about yourself coming in? Is there anything that kind of you learned about yourself, Mason?
That I don't need to stress the cardio as much. Before joining the boot camp, I was doing the treadmill for like an hour and a half on like a 12 incline, like a ridiculously hard workout of just pure cardio. and I was getting nothing out of it. And I'm like, this sucks. Like, no one wants to be on a treadmill for an hour and a half, dreading your life. No one wants that. So, coming into here, and I'm like, okay, like, I know I had to do weightlifting and cardio, but I also wasn't sure like how to manage both because I like I said at the very beginning, I thought this was just the boxing cardio, but then when you added both together, I was like, oh, like this makes it so much easier and like time efficient for me to make it like, oh, 1 hour is basically two workouts, like I said before. So like it made it so much easier for me. I wasn't like killing myself on the treadmill, and I was seeing better results in 4 weeks than I was like the 5 weeks before. I had like maybe half a pound I lost in the 5 weeks, and it was beyond frustrating to me because I'm on the treadmill like every single day for over an hour, getting nothing out of it, like Pam said. And to just realize after our first meeting, I wasn't eating enough to be doing that sort of exercise and putting like 900 to 1,000 calories in myself. Like I had maybe lunch and dinner and I had nothing after. So now I have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and I have like yogurt at night or something like that and like shakes or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm definitely fueling myself a lot better and I'm seeing better results now.
That's thank you for sharing that, man.
Yeah.
It resulted in the exact same thing as Pam was saying. The calorie increase was like a refeeding of your body's, metabolism and your
Yeah.
body's hormonal balance, and you're thriving, man. And people don't understand that enough, that they're starving themselves down to death rather than, increasing their calories to live, and
Yeah.
just thrive. Like it's so important. But you guys are the real deal. You're putting it in perspective here. Nobody's paying you to be here. I apologize, but thank you at the same time.
Checks in the mail.
um, but yeah, I mean, I wish we could do this for a living in a way, you know what I mean? But at the same time, maybe it's not a monetary reward. Maybe we are doing it for a living, our living, you know what I mean? Like our living of a
Yeah.
better quality. That being said, Pam, what did you learn about yourself in this process?
It's funny that Mason mentioned the whole killing himself on the treadmill thing because I was actually thinking that as soon as you asked the question, I was thinking of my treadmill and the conversation you and I had about getting the movement, the steps in.
Mm-hmm.
And I would kill myself on the treadmill to try and get the steps in. And you were like, why are you doing that? Why don't you just do half an hour of boxing and then go for a walk? Like try to take the stress out of the, and I was like, oh, I'm getting way more like I'm burning way more calories in the hour on the treadmill than, and you were like, but it's not about the calories, it's about the movement. So I was chasing, to use your term, chasing the calorie instead of chasing the movement, right? And that made a huge difference for me because I was always like, oh man, I got to do my 1 hour walk on the treadmill now. And then it became, I only have to do 15 minutes of boxing or I have to do 20 minutes of boxing because those were the two that you had added to the app.
Mm-hmm.
And it changed everything. Then it was like, well, then I'm just going to go for a little bit of a walk too, instead of the hour-long walk. And it evened out. It was like 40 minutes versus an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I'll take the 40 minutes. And it was more fun because I was doing the boxing, which I've always enjoyed doing, even though we didn't do it very often, you and I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a win-win, cut out that hour where I'm killing myself and just break it up.
I love
Chase
it.
the movement.
So you learned that.
Instead of,
You learned that about
chase the
yourself.
movement instead of the calories. Yeah.
That's good. That's a good slogan right there. Chase the movement instead of the calories, because you were trying so hard to put that hour of hard calorie burn in there. And it got to the point where you didn't even want to do it anymore. You started to like dread it and resent it to the point where you weren't even going and doing it, going, oh my God, where am I going to find an hour to do that? And even though you might have had that hour, you almost made it so big and impossible to achieve that you deterred yourself from it, right?
And like we talked about today when we were doing my training, the one-on-one this morning, got to do one more push-up. I always have to do that little bit better. I always have to push myself a little bit harder. So when I get on the treadmill, it's like, oh, I'm only at 12,000 steps. I need to get 12,001. So I have to speed up a little bit or change the incline. And it becomes a challenge that you can never overcome because you're always going to be chasing that little bit better. I mean, that's what we do and what we do. But when it's something that you don't necessarily have to do, you don't necessarily have to kill yourself to do cardio, unless that's what you want to do, like a runner. But that's not what I want. I'm a power lifter. You know, I like strength. Why am I killing myself on the treadmill?
Yeah. And so if we can
You know,
find a fun and competitive way to put it in for you in like the boxing format, you're able to get it without even realizing you're racking up more steps,
yeah,
more movement.
yeah. And then go for a 20-minute walk instead of an hour walk. You know, like yeah, it's like don't discount the cardio because cardio, you definitely need cardio, but you don't need to kill yourself to do cardio.
Exactly.
Nice. Anything to add to that, Mason?
No, I completely agree with that. Like instead of doing like I was dreading like going to the gym for like the hour and whatever, like the next day I'd like plan it out, be like, okay, I have 2 hours of free time. I can go there for like an hour and a half. And then something would get in the way or whatever, and I'm like, oh my God, now what am I gonna do? Like, I don't want to go for another like hour and a half the next day or something like that. Like it was whatever. But then yeah, as soon as I started like doing the boxing stuff, I'm like, this is flying through. This is way better, and I don't have to kill myself on a treadmill for an hour for an hour and a half.
That's
So I
crazy.
completely agree.
Yeah, to think you were doing an hour and a half and not getting results. People are like, how could you even possibly do that? Here's where we have to have a conversation around metabolic adaptation. And when the metabolism adapts to what you're doing, you're going to pound out those hours and get nothing in return. Like you said, Mason, super frustrating. How many people who are listening to this right now have probably been down that same road? You're doing that same thing over and over and realizing this could be 4 weeks changes your life, change the modality, get something novel in there. So at this time, we're going to speak to the viewer, but we're also going to speak to you guys in a way. What I want you to do, Mason, is if you could go back, knowing what you know now, right, about how much nutrition you gained, how much boxing improvement you made, and any body transformation stuff like we talked about, if you could go back 4 weeks and give advice to yourself before you started, what advice would you go back to give yourself now, knowing what you know?
To enjoy it, like to because it went by so fast and it was a lot of fun. Knowing that every workout would be different because I thought it'd be the same thing every week, but now knowing going into each class that everything was different. 4 weeks ago, yeah, I didn't know like anything about nutrition, and switching up like what I eat in a day. I'm definitely like feeling stronger, eating more protein and stuff like that. Um, yeah, it's basically it's more like the nutrition and the workouts like are way more fun than you think. Like when you think of boot camp, you're like, oh, like this is gonna tire me out for the rest of the night. And after the hour, I was like, oh, can we do another one? Like I was pumped. Like I wanted to go and do another one. It was a lot of fun. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
So you definitely tell yourself, dude, do this. It's going to be a blast. You're going to learn about
Yeah.
nutrition. You're going to have a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
it's going to fly by, so enjoy it.
Exactly.
That's
That's
great
exactly it.
advice. Great advice to the Mason of 4 weeks ago. Pam, same question to you. If you could go back now and tell Pam of 4 weeks ago, who was doing all her other training, that, you know, she was having a hard time with her respiratory and stuff, what would you tell her now, knowing what you know?
well, I've always used this line that if you're thinking about doing something or trying something, you need to stop thinking. You need to just do it. That's always been something that I've said to myself because you never know until it's done how much you're going to enjoy something. And it was so enjoyable that's what I would tell myself. It's like, you know, you have those days where you don't want to do a workout, but you always feel better when you're done. So why would you not do it?
Right.
So it's like don't have doubts about this program that Lawrence is offering. First of all, it's a group program, which is always fun.
Yeah.
Second of all, you know you're going to enjoy it because you always feel better when you're done. So don't doubt what he's offering. Just go for it. Take it.
That's great advice.
What you want. Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah. And again, like I said, it speaks to the person who's watching this, but it also speaks to you 4 weeks ago. If you had been sitting on the fence and kind of going, what's this about? Should I do this or shouldn't I do it? You're basically saying, you know, take action, do it. You're going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
The group
Yeah,
atmosphere.
I definitely wasn't sitting on the fence because as soon as you said you wanted to do a group thing again, and then you said you were going to add boxing to it, I was totally in. before you even made it official, I was totally in because
Mhm.
I missed the group programs and you know, so I was, but if I'm coming at it as though I had never experienced the group programs before or any kind of program, if that's how I'm going to phrase the question or answer the question,
Yeah.
then that's what I would have told myself. Don't think about it. Just go for it.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
'Cause you can only benefit. You can only benefit.
Love it.
There's no side effect
That's it. You never
except
walk away from a workout feeling like you had a bad one, really. They always feel good. Your endorphins are up, right? You're feeling good. And like Mason said, you can't even wait for the next one. It's been so much
Yeah.
fun. It
yeah.
doesn't get boring. So these are some important things for people to hear because they need to know what it is we do. And you guys were in there, so you can give them that firsthand account of what you experienced. And now you're
Yeah.
even going back telling your old self, had I known what it was going to be, I would have been even more excited because I didn't know what to expect
Oh
coming
yeah.
in. Now I do. And it's like, man, that's awesome. Which leads us to our last question. What's next for you? Are you continuing your fitness journey? Because so many people take a course and they get results and then they go, okay, that was awesome. I did the 30 days to fit challenge. I did the, whatever it is, right? Like 75 hard, and they go
Mhm.
all in for 75 days. And then when the 75 days are up, they're on their deathbed almost for how much they've achieved. And they're like, I can't wait to go back to normal life. And if normal life hasn't become this, then really you didn't really succeed. I always say, what do you look like 3 years from now? That tells me whether you really learned and applied the information. If it's going to become a lifestyle, it's going to be sustainable. So, what's next for you? Are you continuing your fitness journey? Mason, you go first.
Yeah, absolutely. Knowing like all of the different workouts and stuff like that, like I have it all jotted down now. And now that I know all the movements and I know that I can do them at home, it makes it like more ease of mind being like, okay, I've done this before. Like, there's no excuses. I can't say like, oh, I don't have this. Well, I've literally done it before. So
Mm-hmm.
I do have it, or I know some sort of modification. Um, Also being able to park on like the roads now. I can go to the gym like later, but still get my sleep in because I've that's another thing. Sleep has been huge for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, like my friends and I we used to go at like 11 o'clock at night, and then I wouldn't get home till 1 o'clock, and then I'd wake up at like 7 or 8. Like I wouldn't get enough sleep for myself.
There you go.
So yeah, definitely between like now knowing all the nutrition stuff, now I have like 4 weeks of stuff that I can go back to. And like I said before, I can do like my own combos of boxing in my head. Like I can just get a timer for 2 minutes and just go like all out with all different combos for 2 minutes in between the 60 seconds of movements.
Beautiful. So there's a lot of things you can take with you now, and
Yeah.
man, so you plan on continuing, keeping
Yeah.
going, and doing your fitness journey has only begun now with this knowledge behind you. That's really
Yeah.
awesome. Same thing for you, Pam. If you were going to continue on, what is your continue? What's next, and what are you going to do with your fitness journey from here? What's your plan?
Well, for me, the journey is never ending. I'm never giving this up. It's part of who I am now. So, I mean, I've been doing fitness since 2007, but never really took it seriously until I met you,
Hmm.
because I didn't have the knowledge and everything that I needed. I didn't have the skills and
Hmm.
the expertise. So now it's just it's part of my daily routine, and I can see myself in. I mean, I'm 50 I'm going to be 51 this year, and I can see myself in another 50 years still doing the deadlifts and still doing the bench presses and
That's
power
awesome.
faces. Yeah, I'm not giving it up. Not unless something real serious happens, like I
Yeah,
break my neck.
yeah, it's
You know?
awesome, and I love that you said your age, and a lot of people don't want to share their age, but I find that when
Oh,
you're fit and you're healthy, you're even more proud of your age, because you represent a small percentage of that age demographic when you're healthy. I think that there's so much of a narrative out there now where everybody's under muscled and they're over fat, they're over, like they're just eating abundances of processed foods and they're struggling with their health. And that might be the people who are watching this video right now, wondering if this is right for them. And what we're saying is, over time, you're learning to eat healthier, you're learning to exercise here. And in just 4 weeks, you're changing the trajectory, but it's only the beginning. and we're not getting to be, where if you're 50 and you're turning 51, your 51th year, 51st year, I guess, not 50, your 51st year becomes better than your 50th year, and your 52nd year becomes better than your 50th year. And every time you go into the next year, you're actually more proud of what you've accomplished. That's reversing the aging process, in my opinion, right?
Oh, for sure,
So
for
to
sure.
put that into perspective, you said you were 51, and Mason, you come in at a younger age in this program. And I don't know if you're willing to share your age, but
Yeah,
in your demographic, you want to share it? How old are you?
I'm 21. I think I said at the beginning, but yeah, I'm
Okay.
21.
Okay, my fault if I missed that. I
That's okay.
apologize. But yeah, representing the 20-year-old, 20 to 25-year-old bracket, even, right? Coming in and saying, how many people you talked about colleagues who are choosing fast food, it's a regular thing, and you're noticing you're a small representation of that population who are in the aiming for fit and healthy.
Yeah.
So that's part of what I really wanted to address when Pam said her age there and shared, like, this is a lifestyle, and you guys both represent your age demographic very well, and so will you go back to being part of the masses, or will you stay part of the minority in hopes that you inspire others to become part of the masses, and bring the masses from one end to the other? That's so cool, and that's what precision elite training is all about. So share a little bit of that, Mason, real quick, on the idea of your demographic and what you feel for yourself in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even like just for like my age group. Like going, I usually go like grocery shopping with my aunt, and I'm picking like healthier choices and stuff like that. And I see like now, she's even looking at like what's in the stuff that she's buying, or like she tries to pick healthier options, and she's doing meal prep the same that I do as well. So like I feel kind of proud about that, like knowing that like my small little, not like hindrance, but like just me like showing her like what I'm doing, how I'm doing it is also like bettering her lifestyle. And I tell like my dad the same thing, and he's been changing like how he's eating as well. He was just telling me like he hasn't had fast food in like the last month or so and whatnot. So I mean, like it's all like building up. My friends around me, they're pretty well like they're healthier, um, but they're not like super strong. Like they're toned, but they also have, I don't even know how to say, like not a, they definitely have a better metabolism than I do, but they also don't eat as well as I do. Like they can have fast food and they don't gain anything,
Mm.
which I can watch them get eat fast food and I gain weight watching them. But it's like, so yeah, it's like knowing that I'm eating better and I tell them, oh, like I had this and this like for my meal prep this week, and then they go on and like even my one friend, he's meal prepped um, for like his week of work because he's working like overnights now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just such a good reflection there. And I like how you were talking about influencing your family, even.
Hmm.
Like you said, not your demographic. I mean, you might be an inspiration to friends too who watch you transform, but you're talking
Yeah.
about your family. They're the people that matter most to you, and helping them by making better grocery selections and things.
Yeah.
It's amazing when we have knowledge. It's not attached to our age. Like it doesn't matter if someone who's 20 years old has the information you need, they could change your life. If someone who's 50 years old has your information, they can change your life. Usually older people do have it because they've had more experience. And that's why
Yeah.
we always, listen to the people who are older. But nowadays there's so much information out there. If someone's willing to put the work in, invest in a course like this, get the information, and they will know that. They will know it for a fact. They will have the evidence of
Yeah.
transformation. And that's it, right? So I think that's super cool. And Pam represents, the people who've made it a lifestyle already. 6 years in, it's already obvious that you're not letting this go anytime soon. So the final question, if you guys are ready, we'll give you one more question,
Mm.
and we'll leave it there. But before that, do either of you have any last thoughts you wanted to share that we maybe didn't ask a question on or mention about the program or your journey or anything like that?
No.
All
No.
good.
No. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So the final question is, if there were another body knockout boot camp round two, would you do it again?
100.
Absolutely. Yeah.
101%.
I already knew the answer because you guys already asked for it at the end of the last class. So we did have our graduation. It was a lot of fun, obviously. There were a lot more people in the class as well who were there on the live classes and things like that tonight. Pam and Mason, thank you guys for being available to do the testimonial call. We'll try to touch base with some of the other people from the camp as well. But I'm glad both of you would be totally stoked to do it again. And
Oh, yeah.
make it part of an ongoing process and learning, developing. It's been a pleasure to get to do it with you guys. Anyone who's watching this and listening right now, if you've enjoyed, the testimonials and things, drop some fire in the comments for Pam and Mason here. Also, if you have questions for them, if you put the question in the chat, whether you're watching this here on YouTube or you're watching it here on Facebook as a playback, or wherever you're watching it, put a comment or a question, and we can have Pam and Mason actually interact with you and answer those questions for you, because you might have a question that they didn't answer, or I didn't ask the right question to spark that response. So to our viewers, thank you guys for joining us tonight and being part of our live testimonial call. This is the first one we've done because this is our first boxing camp that we've done. So we called it the Body Knockout Transformation Challenge originally, and it became a real boxing and weightlifting home-based body boot camp workout that just took on a life of its own. And by the end of it, watching you guys do the sparring matches was a blast for me, because I couldn't believe how far we had come in just 4 weeks. I've taught boxing for years, and inside of a gym setting, you never really have a timeline where you watch actually how fast someone can develop. And this time I had a timeline of 4 weeks to work with. And in that 4 weeks, watching what you guys were able to do was incredible. And I think with 4 more weeks, just to see the double of that evolution, it's mind-blowing to me how fast, if you really wanted to become even competitive in recreational boxing, I mean, we could get there in such a short period. That blows my mind. And we did it virtually. So to anyone who thinks virtual boxing is not the same, it is different, but man, we can definitely make it a fun and exciting experience. So thank you guys again. And I'll give the floor to you one last time if you want to make any final thoughts, or just say goodbye to the audience and thank everybody for being here.
The only question
Okay, go ahead.
You go.
I was just going to say, the next time you offer the program, Mason and I are going to have a rematch.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, let's go.
The only question I have is, when can I start again?
Yeah.
When can we get this thing rolling? We'll have that conversation again real soon, because we definitely want to get things rolling again. You guys were awesome. I appreciate both of you so much. Love the amount of progress you made. And to all our viewers, thank you for being with us tonight and watching the testimonial live here. This was, again, unscripted. This was just the real feedback from Mason and Pam. So we hope that we'll see you in one of our boot camps coming up, because Mason and Pam will be there. They're the OGs. They want to do it again. And if you want to do it with them, hit us up in the comments, leave us some fire, let us know I'm in, and we'll get back to you and get you guys all signed up for the next boot camp round, all right? So thanks again, guys, and we'll end it here for our live call.